You know your screen sharing.
Oh, yeah. This is
And then what happened,
paraglidingtalk.com.
Daddy?
Well, all right. Welcome to paraglidingtalk.com. I'm your host, Robert Michaels. Glad you're here. You're watching the best paragliding talk show on Thursday nights, hands down. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If you're chatting right now, your name's getting written down so that you can win something. On this show, we try to give something away every single episode. We have a special guest tonight. Kris Souther's with us. Cue the round of applause. Pretty excited about that. He's a local, and we've flown together a bunch of times. I'm excited to pick his brain about all things flying. Before we get into this show, I do want to say thanks to the moderating staff. Craig Taylor's with us tonight. Anthony Peregringo is also moderating. KC80RW is with us in an undisclosed area. And Sean Nasker is working the spinny wheel of Winnie things. So we're going to have a great show tonight. I want to just real quick touch base about our sponsors. The sponsor of the show is PPG Smoke. PPGsmoke.com has all kinds of great stuff that you can add to your flying repertoire. Go check it out, ppgsmoke.com. Show's also brought to you by Paramotorprops.com. If you blow up a prop, you want to buy one and get a good deal quick, go to their website, paraprops.com. Show's also brought to you by Para Orange Products. They've got all kinds of stuff to take care of your flying needs. Their website is great. They've got great deals. Larry and Kris, also known as the Bag Lady, do all kinds of great stuff for the flying community. Go check out their website now. Actually, don't do it right now. Go right after the show and buy stuff. Well, I do have to say thank you, Kris, for coming on. I talked to Kris months and months ago, and I was like, dude, I'd really like to have you on the show. He's got a great background in flying. He's flown the Alps. He's flown in Colombia. He's right on the heels of all the records here. He flies in the upper echelon of the glider class and the D class. He's flying two liners, and he's a really good pilot. We've had some pretty fun adventures landing up on El Capitan. We've flown Elsinore and cracked my best flying. I broke a couple personal records while flying, trying to just keep up with this guy. And he also does some kite surfing. He's got a couple wings, I believe, and with the foil flying. And so we're going to pick his brain. If you're in the chat, make sure that you're chiming in. If you have some pressing questions and you want to ask about what's happening, or if you want to learn something, feel free to ask, and moderators will take your information and shoot it to me in this special chat that I have over here. So glad that you're logging in. Looks like everybody is joining us. I know that there is a bunch of entertainment with the presidential debate happening right now, but I want to say, don't watch that nonsense. You just stay right here. Paragliding where it's at. You know what I'm saying? So let's dive right in. Kris, how did you get into this crazy sport? Flying thermals.
Probably like most people in San Diego, I'm an outside sales guy. I used to go to Black's Beach and just kind of check the surf, and you can only watch the paragliders fly around for so long and eat sandwiches there until you just say, I think that's something I want to do. So we do that for a while. And I think it was my 30th birthday. My brother asked me what I wanted. And I said, why don't you get me a tandem flight at Torrey Pines? So we both went out there. I think Bob, I forgot Bob's last name, but Bob took me for a flight, and he let me fly the thing the whole time. Pretty fun experience, even though it's just right at the coast, super fun. You're just flying, it's like the coolest thing you've ever done. And then landed, I think 2 days later, I just showed up in the shop and just said, I'm ready to do this. And started taking lessons right there with with Torrey Pines. Instructor was Max and Brad Geary and Jeremy Bishop, who now owns Sabova now, I believe.
Yeah. Yep.
So kind of those guys. And then
How do you get like three of the best instructors?
Yeah, it was crazy. I didn't know any better, but everyone was saying that Max was like this world record, acro pilot, and to me, it's just this cool guy with long hair, man.
Yep.
Just wanted to be like him.
Yeah, we love having him on the show. He comes on all the time. He's a
a
champ.
good guy. And from there, just flew Torrey Pines for a lot in the beginning, and then finally made it out to the mountains. To Blossom Valley was probably my first, mountain flight, and then a little bit at Little Black. And I don't think they did as many trips out to the mountains as they're doing now with the students. It's a little bit more organized and controlled, and you seem to have those guys out there in various different sites a lot. In the beginning, it was just one or two flights out there, and then you're kind of on your own. But yeah. It's super organized now, and not that it wasn't before, but it's I can definitely tell the difference.
Yeah, I think that's a trip when I show up to like Blossom and there's 5 or 6 students. Yeah, that's awesome though. I like that, because there was a stigma when I first started flying that if all you got was training from Torrey Pines and that's the only place you've flown, you're going to go to the mountains and you're going to be a wreck.
Yeah, but I think a lot of the students they're kind of content with flying at the coast initially until you introduce the mountains to them. And Torrey Pines has done a pretty good job as bringing them out there at the end of the day and showing them what it's all about. I remember my first time out there, I didn't even know what a thermal was.
Right.
We were driving out to Blossom, and they're like, I was like, apparently we're going to fly these thermals. I've never even heard of these things before.
Oh no.
Yeah, apparently they're flying thermal. Like I had no idea, because it was pretty early on. But super fun experience right out of the gate. And then I just kind of got off on my own and started flying Little Black and Blossom and a lot of the other sites, and just you meet a really good community of people. It seems super organized now in San Diego with the cross country guys, and the ability to get on these chats and these forums and get organized. And guys like Nick Hawks have really brought the group together, and yourself, obviously. We didn't have that in the beginning, it was just like me and a couple guys, me and Ivan and Bill Hardesty and maybe Chris Cote, and like a couple guys that were interested in flying cross country, and started just one little chat between like the 3 or 4 of us. And, next thing you know, it just blows up into kind of what it is now.
Yeah, it's getting
very well, somewhat organized group of people, and there's a mentorship, where people are taking other people underneath their wing and keeping everybody safe. So it's kind of a neat community we have here now.
What do you think about there's a handful of guys that are really pushing the envelope as far as they're coming in, they're jumping straight from A's to C's, and there's a handful of guys that are really pushing it. What's your feedback on that, and what do you think about moving fast in this sport?
Well, it depends on kind of who you are and what you're doing on a daily basis. I mean, I'm really just flying Blossom and the mountains and Elsinore and all the mountain sites out here. So if you're a beginning pilot and you've learned wherever you've learned, if you're showing up at Blossom, once a week, twice a week, and you're flying and you're doing maybe a small cross country, or at least attempting that small little cross country to El Cap and back, you're a pilot with some cross country ambition. And if you're a pilot that is ambitious, and even though you're young, you're new at the sport, let's say within 2 years, a year and a half or something like that, I think stepping up to, a hot B or a C glider is way safer than flying an A. And that's probably going to be super controversial, but if you're an ambitious cross-country pilot, it's way safer to be on a glider with performance than it is a glider that has passive safety. Performance, in my opinion, is safety. And I think even if you look at the situation we're flying from Blossom launch to El Cap, you've got to cross a valley. You've got to cross a valley where there's a venturi, where there's unlandable terrain, where there's rocks and stuff like that. Higher performance glider will get you over to the next spot at a higher altitude where it's safer to catch the next thermal, rather than an A glider that'll get you down just over the power lines into lee side turbulence and, hairy terrain. So I would rather put myself, or I would rather have a younger pilot, a new pilot, be on a higher performance wing to perpetually get them into a safer position to get to the next climb. And this is just talking about cross country, people who are excited about cross country. This isn't just like a new pilot that's just sight flying. If you are an ambitious pilot, you want to be a cross country pilot, you've done some small cross country things, you've maybe struggled with it and landed out and watched everybody else fly over. I don't see anything wrong with like a hot B or a low C. There's really a lot of overlap there. Once you've figured out how to keep your wing open and you've been tested a few times, and you've talked about it, and you've had some other people tell you that, you're attempting to be a cross country pilot, like this is kind of what you want to do. I don't see any problem with jumping up to a hot B if you're going to go cross country.
I like that. Craig Taylor donated $10 to the Match Your Motor Fund, and also 009 to 090 donated $25 to Robert's Motor. Thank you. I really appreciate those contributions. You guys are awesome. When you talk about moving up, and this was kind of towards the tail end of the conversation, but I want to bring it up now. Let's talk about when it's a good idea to move up to that next class. And I'm asking for a friend who flies a C and is thinking about moving into a D.
Oh, moving up to a D. I mean, I flew a C class. I got a C wing. I got a really soft C about 2 years into my flying career, but I was flying a lot, So I felt like I was ready for it. And I asked Brad and I asked Jeremy and I asked Max, and they all said, dude, 100%, you should get this Cayenne 4. You're totally ready for it. So ask somebody else that flies with you regularly, and somebody who's been flying for a while, ask their opinion if they're ready for it, and take that as one piece of information that you're going to use to make that decision. So I got right into the C class right out of the gate. I flew that for forever, for 6 years, before I recently moved up to a D class. And I got the M7, and now I'm on the Xeno, and it's been, a year and a half or something like that since then. But I was way ready for it at the time. I was using my glider to the full capabilities, full bar, full everything.
And gigantic wing overs.
Yeah, I probably should have moved up, right before I moved out to Philadelphia, which was like 3 years ago or something like that, 3.5 years ago. But I didn't, I just kind of stuck with the C because I wasn't sure what the conditions were going to be like flying on the East Coast. In hindsight, I probably should have just been on the Xeno the whole time, but or on an M7 or something like that, M6. But I moved up early, but I stayed in that C class forever. And there are some very easy C wings out there, very soft C wings that anybody can manage with a minimal level of skill,
What were the biggest differences that you noticed when you moved from the C to a D, and what were, and maybe if you can reflect back on the transition from the safer wing to the C wing?
I think the biggest differences from like a C to a D is just more responsiveness, more feel. They seem to glide very similar. You just have more feedback. You've got just a longer span wing that's giving you more information. You know, it's like a spider web that has, you've got this bigger web and you're just a spider in the middle of the web, and you've got your finger on every single like web, and you're just feeling more of the air out there with a higher performance wing with a larger span. And that, I think that's the difference between like the B wings or the soft C wings, and then, you know, a two-liner. You're really sniffing out. You've got more sensation coming back with those higher performance or higher aspect wings than something less than that. So
interesting. So you're able to get more feedback. I'll give you an example of what I'm thinking. You catch the edge, the right side of your glider feels the thermal, and so you know to turn right. Is it that intense?
exactly. Yeah. It's just, yeah, I have a better sense of what direction to turn. I have a better sense of like kind of what's happening with the air. So I can choose right or left, and sniff it out a little bit better. So yeah, exactly. It's just sniffing out thermals. That's all we're really doing out there.
Yeah.
You're just going around in the stuff that's going up, and then you're flying fast with the stuff that's going down. That's that simple.
That's it. Hit the gas when you're going
Slow
down.
down when you're going up.
Slow down when you're going up.
Put the gas on when you're going down.
There's a bunch of guys in here that fly paramotors, but there's a good handful of them that are interested in free flying and getting involved, and that's why I love having guys that, especially guys like you that have a lot of experience with free flight. You also transferred into you flew paramotors for a little while. Maybe talk about how that helped your free flying and what were your takeaways?
That was super fun experience. Obviously I learned how to free fly first, and I was flying for 3-4 years or something like that before a friend of mine got a paramotor and thought it was the coolest thing in the world and said, you got to get one of these things. And I was like, okay, I'm getting one.
Yeah.
So but that I was kind of self-taught, and I think the being able to launch a paraglider and just understanding how the paraglider moved in free flight is a world of difference, rather than just starting paramotoring without any experience. So that's probably why I was able to just like teach myself and feel pretty confident with it. But the paramotor adds so much freedom, man. It's super fun, super rad. I like a gutless. I mean, I only had one paramotor, but it was gutless. And I just wanted to go straight up as high as I could, 8,000 feet, turn the motor off, and just like, you know, do some wing overs or fly around, just enjoy the view up there.
Yeah.
So, there's a whole nother side of things where you can buzz low through the trees and you know, foot drags and all that stuff. But it was burned into my brain that altitude is your friend.
Yeah.
As a free flight guy. So I was like, whatever happens here, I don't know anything about motors, nothing. You know, if this thing blew up or just turned off, at least I could land it. You know, as long as I have altitude, that's gas in my tank.
Yep. So. Yankee Paramotor donated $10 to the super chat. Thank you, sir. He said, for Robert's Motor Fun, I really agree with Kris on the limitations of excessive passive A-wing safety being detrimental to a pilot's advancement. Yep, I agree too.
It's just like I've seen A-wings try to go cross country, and next thing you know, you're looking down at them, and then they're lee side, and they're in a sticky situation, and you're just putting yourself in a situation where something bad could happen. And that's all paragliding is putting yourself in a situation where something could happen.
Yeah.
You're on cross country flying. You're putting yourself on a peak, on a sunny side, on a windward side, for something to happen, for a thermal to happen. It's also the same on the negative side of things. If you're flying an A-wing and you're trying to cross a valley, you're going to put yourself low. You're going to put yourself in an unlandable space, and you're going to be scratching, and it's more probable for you to take a collapse low and be unrecoverable. So I don't think you should be going cross country in an A-wing, you know, at least in Southern California. I don't know what the rest of the world's like, but.
Yep.
So there you go.
I really like that thought. It's actually never been discussed in that way on the show. So I think that's pretty awesome to bring that balance. A lot of people are always very reserved when they come on the show because they're afraid. You know,
I'm sure we're going to get some I'm sure people are going to be rapping about that one. The hell's he talking about?
Yeah. How is that? How is that good?
Strictly, if you're an ambitious cross-country pilot, you know how to keep your wing open to some degree.
Yeah.
You're not going to get hurt in the air. You're going to get hurt hitting the ground.
Right.
Do whatever you can do. Fly whatever you can fly that keeps you further away from the ground.
Yeah. Yeah. I like it.
Yeah.
I've got a couple really cool stories. Kris Souther just recently made an epic flight from Lake Elsinore all the way to the beach, Laguna Beach.
Yeah.
Talk about that a little bit and share with us how that all worked out. That's an awesome story.
Yeah, that was a fun day. I was looking at that maybe 3 or 4 days in advance, and I was looking on XC Skies, and it just said the top of lift was going to be 15,000 feet. And I was like, no way. There's something wrong. There's just something wrong there. And the temperatures were going to be like 100 and whatever, 110 degrees. It was. But I just decided, hey, wind looks doable. Doesn't look too windy up there. I had the mindset to go check it out. And Brad Stevenson was another guy that was down to at least check it out. And we were going out there just to go up on launch, get our wings out, and see what happened. If we didn't like it, we're going to go home. But we decided to launch when everything looked pretty good. Turned out to be a pretty standard day right out of the gate. Soft climbs. We immediately got up to like 10, 11,000 feet, moved over to Santiago Peak, got into a cloud convergence up there that was pretty obvious. Got up to about 13.5, or I think is when we finally decided that was high enough to just pop out.
Wow.
And we had the beach on glide easy.
No kidding.
Yeah. 13.5 from Lake Elsinore with light winds. Pretty easy glide.
A headwind?
There was a wind from the south that day.
Okay.
Heading out, but at a higher altitude. But once we dropped down to, 5,000 feet or so, the wind kind of switched to the standard north wind onshore breeze from the ocean. So by the time we landed at Laguna Beach, it was a nice little headwind. We landed, I think it was Labor Day weekend or something like that.
It was busy at the beach for sure.
It was a busy weekend, and everybody was coming out like, "Where'd you guys come from? That building up there?"
The moon.
We're like, no, we came from that mountain way the heck over there.
Yeah.
They didn't even compute with something.
No.
Like, no, that's not right. Like,
yeah,
whatever.
These guys are not only breaking the law, but they're liars.
A cop did come over, and he was like, "I don't know
Really?
what you guys are doing, but I'm sure there's something illegal about it."
Yeah. See your ID.
And I was like, "Hey, this is where we were. This is where we launched. We were out of airspace. We completely did everything by the books, And he was like, I was like, it was technically an emergency landing because we had nowhere else to go. And he goes, emergency landing. Yeah, that's what I'll put down. Okay, yeah, emergency landing.
Unexpected emergency landing.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that was one of those days when a lot of people looked at the forecast and said, no way. But I said, it's Saturday. I got nothing else to do. Let's go out there and just at least check it out. And it turned out to be a really good day. We had every intention of just walking off the mountain, though.
You say we, who else made it with you?
Brad Stevenson.
Brad Stevenson. He's in the chat right now.
Oh, good.
He's watching this show. You got a fan.
It was a super fun day, Brad.
I'm a fan of Brad.
Brad's a good guy. It's a good pilot too, yeah.
Good folks.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got I would say about 5 or 6 really fun flights. So whenever Kris Souther's there and you launch, it's usually going to be really good because he's not going to waste his time if it's not a really good day.
That's true, man. I got other things to do, man. There's kite surfing, there's foiling, there's all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I try to choose the best day, man. If it's whatever the best forecast is for the day, whether it's wind, surf, beach, flying, I'll choose that.
Yeah. Paragliding's amazing. We're going to spin the wheel in just a second. Before we do, I want to say this show's brought to you by Nebraska PPG. Josh Bowden has a school in Nebraska. If you want to get some good training, reach out to him. There's a link in the description. He sponsored the show. Also, the show is sponsored by the Tri-State Skywalkers. You want to get joined up with a flying club? I think it's a good idea. If you want to, maybe you're not anywhere near anybody, you want to start a flying club, reach out to Brandon McLeod. He's got some great ideas. He also has germgladiator.com, and he sells some stuff for stopping the old COVID. So check out his website at germgladiator.com. This show is also brought to you by iFly Indiana Powered Paragliding. If you're interested in flying paramotors, no better place to get the proper training. iFlyIndiana.com is the website. So you had, I wanted to talk about, before we spin the wheel, and Sean's, you got 4 more minutes, Sean. And I'm giving a fair chance for everyone that hasn't been talking in the chat to put their name in there. After we spin the wheel, we're going to talk about some incidents you shared before the show. We talked about progression. You flew the Alps. Maybe just kind of share your experience with that in 4 minutes. What was the Alps like?
Alps are fun. I went out to. I've only been out there once, but it seems like it's just an amazing playground to paraglide. I went out there with Greg Otmar, Kris Otmar, and the guy Greg from the East Coast when I moved to Philadelphia for a while, and it was just to escape the East Coast for a period of time there as the seasons were changing. But flew Italy, got rained out for most of the time, but we still ended up flying every single day, even though it was like forecasted to rain. It rained in the morning, rained in the afternoon. Some pretty good flights. Greg and Kris were on A wings, and they were trying to go cross country, and they were landing, and they were making me a little scared. Some of the crossings, but once they landed safe, it was fine for me to just kind of go on, which was interesting. But we just chased the sun kind of the whole time. We did Italy. We moved out to Switzerland and flew in Verbier. Which is an amazing place. That was a time when I got a really good flight, flew across a valley or two, top landed, had lunch, looked around, took a couple photos. That's actually the photo that I sent you.
Yeah, the thumbnail.
Top landed in Verbier, and then just relaunched and had just a kick-ass time out there, man. I can't wait to go back out there for sure.
So where did you stay? What city?
We were in Bassano initially,
Okay.
which is a pretty popular paragliding spot in Italy. And then,
did you know anybody there prior
No.
to going, or you just kind of booked your
No.
spot and said, I know that because of
we just
YouTube?
knew that was the spot that people go. And Bill Davis said that he had gone out there a number of times and pointed us in the right direction. And that's the kind of place where you just show up. It's like Torrey Pines, man. You show up, and next thing you know, there's 3 or 4 other guys coming your way that you know from the U.S. And it's just a huge flying community.
Really?
So yeah, it was super fun out there.
Did you see any famous paraglider pilots out there?
I don't think so. Actually, Kelly Farina was there.
No.
Yeah.
You met Kelly Farina?
He was so loud in the background. He was just talking like he was just so freaking. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? Who's this
Ooh,
guy?
that's $10.
Cha-ching!
Got
And
him.
somebody was like, "That's Kelly Farina," and I was like, "Oh, okay."
I talked to him.
Yeah.
I messaged him on one of his videos, and he said he would come on the show, but then I don't remember what happened. He like bailed out last minute, but he would be a good guy to have on the
Great,
show.
man. His
He'd love that.
his book was pretty rad. I only really remember one thing from it, not to give away like everything about the book, but
Yeah.
the golden rule, man, from that
Yeah.
book.
What is that?
It's just everything that I thought about paragliding, but then he wrote it down and it just kind of made sense. And I was like, oh yeah, that's the golden rule. It's no matter what you're doing while you're flying, the most efficient and best way to fly is to keep your body, your pod, your harness moving in a constant speed when you're thermaling or flying. And that means whatever you have to do to your wing up there, no matter whether it's going right side, left side, surging, coming back, whatever you can do to manage your wing to make sure that your body is moving in a smooth, continuous arc is going to be the most efficient form of flying. And it's going to allow your instruments to read what's going on accurately. It's going to allow your head to understand what's going on in the thermal and in the air accurately without the surging forward, penduluming, accelerating, decelerating. That's all noise. That's confusing you as far as what is going on with the air. And when your body is moving at a constant rate, you can map out the thermal, you can map out the conditions. And so whatever you can do to keep your body moving at in a constant speed is going to accelerate your flying, I think. That's
great information.
That's the only thing you read out of the book, man. That was like,
yeah.
I mean, there's a ton of other things.
Yeah. That's all you can remember.
It's so good. That was like, that is so important to me.
Yeah, that's great information. Crazy Uncle Bob donated $20 to the super chat. Linda Anderson, that's my mom. She donated $20 to the super chat. Thank you guys. Really appreciate your investment into the Butt Fan Fund. We're going to spin the wheel. Sean?
Yeah. Now, I took the liberty of changing some things up. I have lubed the wheel thoroughly.
Oh, geez.
And I believe that this is going to be awesome and build suspense. So let's see here. Y'all can see my screen, right?
Yep.
All right. Here we go, Robert.
All right. Spin the wheel.
There you go.
Oh, you got it. These are spread thin tonight. You guys got a really good chance of winning. Oh yeah. Here it goes.
Who's it going to be?
This show, this spin was brought to you by Lone Star Paramotor. So go check out their website, Lone Star Paramotor, world-class training. LoneStarParamotor.com is the website. Ooh, looks like a maybe. Oh, my computer glitched. It looked like it stopped.
Oh, it's still going.
Yep, still going. Oh, it's going to be Yankee Paramotor.
You think?
Yeah.
Oh, it might be Tim Garvey. You never know.
It's still going.
Oh.
You weren't kidding.
I told you this is going to be suspenseful, man.
Yankee Paramotor.
Congratulations, Yankee Paramotor.
That's
awesome. Chicken dinner.
I like the noise. That was great. Clapping. That was amazing.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations. Winner, chicken dinner. Yankee, I'll send that out to you. You get a neck gator. Paraglidingtalk.com neck gator. It looks like this. You haven't seen them yet.
Right here.
I'm almost out. Yeah.
I could use another one, so that way when I'm watching this one, I could use it, you know.
Yeah, you need another one?
Just the one. Yeah.
You have to order another batch.
Keeps the hair out of my face when I'm kiting.
Yeah. That is amazing. Chris, how did you buy your paramotor? Did you buy it used? Did you did you call the guys over at
Yeah, I got it.
Blackhawk?
I got it brand new. Some kite surfing friends of mine just got into it, and I got them into paragliding, and then they became a dealer or whatever that means, and they just ordered a couple motors. So that's kind of how we got into it. But
so did you say you bought two of them? You bought a pair of them, so you got a deal?
Yeah, it was a bit of a deal. Yeah, I get two at a time. Actually, it was three at a time. So
okay,
I got three.
And you said you wanted to buy another one, right?
What's that?
So you and I will go in on the next one.
I'm down to get one, man. Anytime. I'm dying to get. My wife says there's so much space in the garage. You need more stuff. What she said. I swear to God.
No, that's amazing.
You need more toys, Kris.
Yeah, look at all this room. I've been in your garage. Yeah. How many foils do you have right now?
Oh my God. 5, maybe. 5 hydrofoils. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I got 3 surf foils, and 2 racing kite foils. Yeah.
My
I'm
word.
trying to get rid of some of that stuff though, and just get it down to like 2 or 3.
Yeah.
It grows on you, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, I have a garage now, so it's like
Yeah.
fill it up.
You got to put stuff in it. That's
Fill
what
it up.
that's what a garage is for.
Yeah.
And you have a travel van. That
Yeah,
thing's amazing.
That's
There was a question from the chat, by the way. This is from 009290. Question for Kris. I got a Sigma 7 given to me to learn free flying. Is this too old of a wing?
I don't even know. Sigma 7, yeah. I don't really follow that brand, so I don't know how old it is. I mean, every wing has just got its own condition to it. You got a wing that's 2.5 years old, 2 years old, and it's like unflyable. Unflyable. It depends on what happened to it.
Yeah.
So
Got one of those.
it's hard. Get a porosity check on it, I guess. Or kind of suck on it and see if you can suck some air through. That's the poor man's porosity test.
Nice. Check your lines. Make sure those aren't ridiculous.
There's no knots tied in there. Someone hasn't just made some lines. I don't know.
Yeah. So I think I know the Sigma 7 is like 7 years old by now.
Yeah,
So I would, yeah,
Sigma
definitely.
10 isn't that the hot winger?
It's at the 11's coming out.
11. Yeah.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
10 was, there was a few kind of weird hiccups and a handful of people got some scares or some injuries. And so
Oh yeah.
I
Yeah.
think they sped through that 10 series.
Local guys take
Yeah.
a couple whacks on that. Yeah.
Couple local guys. Yeah. So I wonder how the grand sphere, but anyways,
Cool stuff.
what's that?
So there's some cool stuff coming out for sure.
Yes.
You know?
What glider do you have your eyes on right now?
Well, whatever the Xeno 2 looks like, that's probably what I'm just gonna pick. I'm just gonna go for.
Nice.
But I went from the M7 kind of down to the Xeno, which is basically the same thing. Down, and it's an older version than the M7. But I think once the Xeno 2 comes out, I'll take a serious look at that.
Did you notice any change when you switched from the M7 to the Xeno?
Like we talked about before, it's just the difference between a 2-liner is just that feel, that spider web feel, man. You just got your finger on the pulse on every little bubble that's out there, as opposed to a 3-liner. It just takes a third of the feel away, I think. With that extra set of lines, it just takes a third of the feel away, and it's spannier. So that's really the only difference, I think.
So you're looking at the Xeno 2?
We're going to Xeno 2, whatever that means, whatever that is. I would probably, if I was going to do something different right now, I mean, maybe do like the Leopard.
Really?
Yeah, and there's some decent talk about it. Bloom seemed to like it, and it'd be nice to fly it again since I've had some, significant amount of hours on the Xeno so far. It'd be nice to just try another 2-liner and see what it feels like. But they're spicy wings.
Yeah. Let's talk about crashing.
Yeah.
You've had some incidents. Tell us about your incidents and tell us what you learned from it.
Yeah, man, I've been flying for 10 years now, and I can only recall 2 instances where I've been really, really nervous. And one was within the first year of me flying, and the second one was probably 5 years in. So the first one was just, I was right out of figuring out how to fly. I've been flying Little Black for a little bit. I've been flying Blossom for a little bit. I decided to go to Little Black on my own and fly in some pretty heavy winds. And I launched. I decided to launch because I thought I could handle it. Immediately went up like 2,000 feet. And I was just cruising around, and it was I was getting a little nervous, but I didn't really know. I haven't taken an SIV course. I didn't know how bad it could be. there were things that I knew about the sport and I knew I didn't know about the sport. And then there's the things that I just didn't know that I didn't know, and immediately flew into a really aggressive thermal that just like skyrocketed me. And I got scared and I decided to just fly flat and straight. And because I thought that was the best thing, fly flat and straight. And I popped out the side and immediately took a full frontal.
Ooh.
Reopened asymmetrically, dove into a spiral, came out of that, asymmetric on the other side, dove to the other side, came out of that, and I think I went parachutal for a period of time. Basically exactly what you did at your Welcome to Palomar.
Nice. Okay.
Experience. So like this exact same thing.
We're like twins.
Yeah, right. Except I didn't get mine on video. It's rad that you got yours on video.
Yeah.
Watch that and learn from that. You know, I just have to think about, try to remember what happened. But
were you by yourself?
I was by myself. I was flying by myself, which is another bad decision. And it was too windy. And when I popped out, it was just super calm and super smooth. And I was just like so on nerve. And my eyeball like as big as softballs, you know, and then this red-tailed hawk just came out of nowhere and was just right in front of me. And I just felt so comforting knowing that there was something else up there with me. Yeah. Even though it was a freaking bird. Yeah. I was like, just you and me, buddy. Just you and me.
I feel the same way about the Swifts, man. When I get across to
So it's just like, just you and me up here. And I was like, I gotta get down. So I flew down, I spiraled down, and whatever I landed, or two bicyclists or hikers or something like that. And they're like, that's crazy what you're doing up there, man. Was that for real? Did you do that on purpose? And I was like, no.
At least somebody saw it. That's awesome.
So that was like the first time I was tested and I got a free lesson out of it, you know, like I didn't get hurt, but I had a cascading event where I overpiloted the situation.
SIV.
Yeah. Which was like, dude, I need to take an SIV. So it opened my eyes to what I didn't know about the sport. And I thought a lot about that. And I made some changes and I was a safer pilot, I think, moving forward from that, because I really haven't had an incident like that since then. But I think in hindsight, what I should have done is I thought that flying flat and level through turbulence and through a really strong thermal was the safest thing. But it's not the case. I think you should really get aggressive. The thermal gets aggressive with you, you got to crank and bank it and load up those lines and put some tension on those lines and make that whole canopy more collapse resistant with the tension on the lines.
Right.
You have to attack the thermal if it attacks you.
Well, I like that.
Because I was flying flat and level because I was scared, and your lines are as loose as they'll ever be flying flat and level. The moment you take any little turn, that centrifugal force pulls on those lines and pressurizes your canopy, pressurizes the lines. And so moving forward, if I'm remembering something that is too strong for me to handle, I'm just going to immediately turn in it and just take it as far as I can until it's got to soften out at some point.
Right.
So,
have you had
what I learned from that situation, I think.
Any recent thermals that made you, white knuckle a little bit?
Well, there's some stuff when we flew to over by Barstow back in June, over by San Jacinto. There was some cloud stuff that was just wildly unstable, and that got me to the point where I said, I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to be in this area anymore.
Really?
Yeah, it just gets really windy there. It's super high altitude. We were at 14,000 feet. I wasn't feeling that great. It might have
hypoxic.
It might have been, but I just was feeling really uncomfortable. I think that's the start of just becoming hypoxic. We were at high altitudes the whole time, 13,000, 14,000 feet.
Wow.
And, it just made me go, I'm kind of over this area. So I just flew out over Palm Springs. And by the time I, dropped down a little bit and calmed down a bit, I was able to collect myself and go, I'm ready to continue flying,
That was this last year, huh?
Yeah.
No kidding.
It was a little hairy, but It could have been avoided. You could have just flown immediately to Palm Springs and avoided that whole area, but I decided to fly closer to San Jacinto Mountain, which is notoriously windy, rowdy, and ugly.
Yeesh.
So,
Oofta.
yeah.
Where'd you guys launch from, by the way?
It's Horse.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
All the way to Palm Springs from Horse.
Yeah, we went past Palm Springs. That was the day that Connor broke the record from Horse. It's me, Connor, Phil.
Does Connor have the record right now?
David Hatfield. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
The horse record. No kidding.
He's got the horse record. Yeah. Yeah, we were all right there until the end. We just kind of separated and we team flew the whole way, which was great, it has been awesome the past couple of years. Phil Russman started organizing the whole team flight concept.
Yeah.
And everybody that's got on board with it has really progressed as a pilot, just feeding off of each other and being able to go far as a group, as a peloton, initially. And then in the end, once you pass Palm Springs or whatever it is, you can break off, and that's really determines the who wins the day.
In the chat, Paint Bing said you guys went to Barstow, so that's about 150 miles from Horse to Barstow.
Yeah, that was a good flight. And we did something very similar the day before. We flew from Horse over Palm Springs and landed in Pioneer Town. It just got too windy, but it's funny because we got done with that, and that was like the greatest flight. And then we all get home and we're like, okay, we're ready to do this again tomorrow morning.
Wow. And you get home late.
Yeah.
You're driving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Phil Davis drove us, man, that time, both times actually. And
9:30 at night.
Yeah.
Let's do it tomorrow. All right.
Tomorrow, man.
Nick Griffith donated $25 to the Super Chat, highest donation match. Thank you for that. I really appreciate that. That's a great contest to be having. You guys are awesome. I've got one more sponsor to mention. The show is brought to you by Torrey Pines Glider Port. If you want to learn how to free fly in the most beautiful place in the United States, you can reach out to Max Marion and let him know you found out about him from paraglidingtalk.com, just so that he knows that his money is well vested in paraglidingtalk.com. By the way, if you want to support the show, besides the super chat, if you want to do it on the Patreon, some guys donate $5 a month on that show or on that program, whatever you want to call it. And you can learn some stuff, maybe something that'll help you be a safer pilot or something that will make your friends safer pilots, whatever it is. Support the show on Patreon or PayPal, and it's greatly appreciated. Keeps the show going. Hey, Craig Taylor, do you want to mention something about Resurgence PPG?
That would be great, actually. Resurgence PPG is a 501c3 nonprofit for veterans by veterans. Their mission statement is to help physically adaptive veterans learn to fly, and it is a fantastic program. If you know of any veterans that could benefit from that, please go to resurgenceppg.com and nominate a veteran. If you can spare a buck or two or whatever it is, please do so to support those guys. If not, smile.amazon.com will donate a percentage back. There are no additional TFRs from last week. There's a lot of similar ones are still around the country. Fly smart, fly safe, check your NOTAMs, check your TFRs.
Thank you very much. That's great information. Yeah, check your TFRs. By the way, there's probably a couple new ones in Colorado. Those two fires combined, from what I heard last. It's crazy over there. Be careful in the air. So Yankee Paramotor brought up a great thing here. He said in the chat, he said, let's talk about that team concept. How big are the teams? Is there an effort to balance the talent and mentorship, or are some teams heavy on experience while others slack? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the team flying is just kind of a mentality that we have a certain direction to go, and we're going to try to stay together and use each other as indicators of lift and where to go as best as possible. I mean, I think the last couple of flights we've been out at, we've had maybe 6 people attempt, to team fly. There's an attrition rate, obviously, because it's just paragliding, and somebody's going to bomb out, somebody's going to fall behind, and ultimately you're going to have, a fraction of that moving forward. But a good group is probably 4 or 5 guys or girls, whatever it is, a group of 4 to 5 people flying, and you're able to. Once you find a climb, the guy on the top doesn't leave until the guy on the bottom decides that he is not climbing anymore. And he's the one that makes the decision to move forward. And you all have to kind of know that ahead of time or talk about that on the radio. So once the guy on the bottom isn't climbing anymore, we all kind of push out. Once we push out, we fan out so we can sample more of the air as opposed to flying in a line. It doesn't make any sense. You're not sampling. You're not like sniffing out the air. So we fan out as much as we can to a point where if somebody did get one on the far side, the guy on the opposite side can still get over to him in a reasonable amount of time and find that thermal. So we're combing the desert, man. That's all we're doing. Paragliding. Yeah. Comb the desert. One of us is going to find something. When somebody does, everybody pounces on it.
Yep.
And then you just repeat that cycle over and over and over again.
Yeah, you can go way farther team flying, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And it's safer.
Yeah, it's nice to have and it's fun too. It's fun to fly with
yeah.
guys. I mean,
one of my favorite flights.
Yeah, super fun. Like we did that flight in Lake Elsinore where we went over to Santiago Peak and then crossed the valley from there. I mean, that's super fun to fan out, and you really get an idea of what's going on in the air when you've got other pilots, with you. It helps to have similar style wings, It's not like it can't be done with C wings and 2-liners. It's totally possible.
That day I went with 3 M7s on my Alpina, and it kept up.
You did fine.
Yeah.
You're right with us. You're on top of the stack a lot of what's the
name I got to Topland, and I didn't have to Uber and do any of that stuff.
Yeah.
That was the day. What's the name went in the drink? That was pretty fun.
Connor. Yeah. Oh, who was that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun.
That was a good day. Yeah, I recorded that. That's on a video. That was a really fun day. Yeah. I like the communication aspect of it. I've gone where I got up high and I'm kind of the only guy, and I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'm gonna go over the back and see what happens, and try to catch up to the next group or whatever, and just find yourself on your own. But when you've got somebody that you can look, oh, he found something right there. That's where I'm gonna go. It's so convenient.
Yeah, you learn more as a group too. You learn more by watching other pilots, and I mean, this isn't a new concept. We've been flying the SoCal Comp League for years now, and that's a group of pilots that all have a common goal of hitting waypoints, and there's a start time, and it's basically a competition. This is an informal competition where we all have the same goal, but we're all working off of each other. So in a comp, the gaggle goes, and the gaggle is fast in light conditions because the gaggle samples more air, and they just find stuff, and everybody helps each other. So it's the same concept as competition flying in a gaggle, but we're just trying to do it as a team to go cross country and go far. And it really helps out in the beginning of a cross country flight because it's such a struggle.
Oh yeah,
especially when you need other people to help you, or we're all just bombing out individually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this the other day. You know, we launch into stuff that is it's like that end of day feeling where it kind of gets less and less and less, and then pretty soon it's like, okay, I'm scratching. I just need to go to the bailout. You're launching into the lightest part, so
Yeah.
it's that beginning part is kind of sketch. I like to wait, let Russman go and fight it out for about half an hour before I go.
I like pimping other people's thermals too. I mean, I'm no better.
I'm an American and I believe in capitalism.
Yeah. I'll go first. It's all, every man for himself. It's a team, but every man for himself for reals.
Once it gets to that competition level where you're like, okay, now this is the record right there. Then it's like no radio transmissions. You just
Right.
Nobody's taking selfies or anything. It's just like
all business, man, at the end.
All business.
Yeah.
I bet you it's sketch at that end where you're heading over Palm Springs and you know that big gap and there's the winds are like 30 miles an hour.
It's pretty nice over Palm Springs, man. It's Banning Pass, which is bad because it's the Ventura spot, but it opens up to Palm Springs, and that's just, I mean, my experience going over there, it's been fairly smooth. But
except for that one time.
Well, that was over San Jacinto, which is, high mountain peak.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
Yep.
So
we've got I think that's it. I really appreciate you coming on. We've got a couple more minutes. If you have any questions and you're in the chat, you want to chime in and ask questions, here's your chance. I was going to mention something about the kite surfing and wing handling. Do you think that helped you with flying the two-liners and kiting two-liners? And what's your advice?
I think so. I mean, the kiteboarding is pretty transferable to paragliding. You kind of have the same canopy sizes, and you understand like the force of the wind on the canopy. It's got the same reactions though as a paraglider. If you pull the bar in, it's like pulling the brakes, and the whole glider comes up and it pressurizes a little bit more, has a little bit more force. And in kiteboarding, if shit hits the fan, they say when in doubt, let it out. And it's kind of the same concept with paragliding. Like if shit hits the fan, it's like sometimes you just gotta let your hands up, dude. Like let the glider fly, let the kite fly. It's the same thing.
Would you say that your kiting skills had to be really on point when you switched to a two-liner?
Yeah. I mean, I'm like kind of the opposite with kiting. I mean, everybody says hammer kiting. If you're not figuring something out, kite your wing, kite your paraglider. I don't know, man. I
spend a lot of time.
I just rather fly the wing. No, I don't, and I don't know if that's the same sensation. It's a similar sensation that you would feel paragliding if you're kiting your wing, but it's not the same at all. It's totally different.
And I will say this:
if you sat there and kited your wing for 10 days, you wouldn't be that much better of a pilot in the air. It's a totally different feeling in the air. I know that's probably going to be controversial, but whatever. I mean, I'm just one guy.
My main thing is I don't want to be the guy that looks stupid on launch. If it's flyable, and because I used to show up to Blossom and embarrass myself all the time. It'd be too strong for me to launch, but I'm so stubborn. I'm like, no, I can launch. These guys are flying. I can fly, and get dragged across the top, dodging bushes and rocks and I felt like I really needed to kite and be able to get my wing up and go launch whenever. And now I feel like I'm to the place where I can almost just pull it out and fly.
In the beginning, it's everything. Like I'm kind of coaching, mentoring a buddy of mine right now, and it's super important for him to get the launches and the landings down. I mean, that's where you're going to get hurt. You're going to get hurt launching your glider or landing your glider. It's very rarely going to happen in flight. So in that sense, when you're learning, absolutely, you have to figure out how to kite your glider, at least how to launch your glider safely.
Yeah.
But once you figure that out, I just don't know what you're going to gain from like now kiting my like there's nothing. I don't know if there's anything I can gain from kiting my wing. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm totally wrong. There's a lot of people that say otherwise, but
yeah, I think there are benefits to kiting. I don't spend a whole lot of time doing it, but if I'm at Blossom and I want to go and balance on the rock for a picture, no problem.
Yeah.
But that took some hours of being able to balance and play around with the glider. And
but are you a safer pilot in the air because you can stand on a rock?
no, I agree with you on that it's
Uh-huh.
not, you're not going to get that much. Your glider is a totally different beast, like you were saying about the slack lines and flying straight and falling out of the thing. You've got to you better know your glider in all aspects. Yeah, I think that's good.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna call it a wrap. We're gonna go to the after show at 7:00. Chris actually has he's going out to eat, and I don't want to hold him hostage. Thank you so much. If you're watching, if you're part of the chat or you're in moderation, whatever your contribution to the show is, I really appreciate it. I'm fired up about the next few episodes. Next week, we're going to have a legend on the show. I'm talking big time legend. And I'll just say this, I'm not going to tell you who it is, but he's the world record holder and one of the first world record holders for hang gliding. And he's an awesome dude. So he's actually coming to the house because he's an old timer and doesn't have a computer. It's going to be awesome. So you don't want to miss that. Go check out some of the old episodes. Paraglidingtalk.com is the website. Thank you for what you do. If I don't see you on the air, I'll see you in the air.